Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our group picked the topic based on the company Lehman Brothers. So we will start with the presentation of our group members. Our group members consist of 4 person, which is the first one Muhammad Afi Aiman bin Muslim, and the second one Muhammad Fairuz bin Halim, and the third one Hilmi bin Zikri, and the last one which is Fitri Abid bin Faizul Nizam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Afi Aiman bin Muslim, and we will present about Lehman Brothers. Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation on the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers was a prominent investment bank that played a key role in the 2008 financial crisis. So in this presentation, we will take a look at what led to the collapse of Lehman Brothers, the impact it had on the global financial system, and the lessons we can learn from it. Lehman Brothers and the supreme mortgage market. Lehman Brothers was heavily involved in the subprime mortgage market, which had become increasingly risky and unstable in the years leading up to the financial crisis. As the value of the mortgages began to decline, Lehman Brothers' investment in them caused the firm to suffer huge losses. Impact on the global financial system. The collapse of Lehman Brothers had a significant impact on the global financial system, leading to a freeze in credit market and causing a ripple effect on contributed to the wider economic downturn. It highlighted the vulnerabilities and risks inherent in the financial system and prompted calls for greater regulation and oversight of the industry. So we continue the summary of Lehman Brothers. So there were several allegations of illegal activities against Lehman Brothers in the aftermath of a collapse. But it is important to note that not all of these allegations were proven in court. So some of the key allegations are: first is misleading investor. There were allegations that Lehman Brothers misled investor by mispresenting the quality of mortgage-backed security, which led to investor making faulty investment decision. So the Security and Exchange Commission Lehman Brothers with security fraud, alleging the company had used misleading accounting tricks to conceal its true financial health. Second is accounting fraud. There were also allegations that Lehman Brothers engaged in accounting fraud by manipulating its balance sheet to make it appear more robust than it actually was. The bankruptcy examiner's report found evidence of materially misleading accounting practices at the firm. Second is insider trading. There were allegations that Lehman Brothers engaged in insider trading by selling its own shares before it collapsed, based on non-public information about its true financial position. However, no charges were ever filed on this particular allegation. So lastly is Repo 105 transaction. Lehman Brothers was accused of using controversial accounting practice called Repo 105 transaction to temporarily remove assets from its balance sheet in order to make its financial position appear stronger than it actually was. So the practice was not illegal, but there were questions about whether it was used. So next is we proceed on what is accounting fraud. So accounting fraud is a serious issue that can have significant financial and legal consequences for companies and individuals. In this slide, we will take a look at what accounting fraud is. Accounting fraud is the deliberate manipulation of misrepresentation of financial information in order to deceive investor, creditors, or other stakeholders. It can take many different forms, including false financial statement, improper revenue recognition, hidden liabilities, and improper use of accounting principle. So next, how does the accounting fraud occur? It occurs in many different ways. One common method is to manipulate financial statement to make a company appear more profitable than it actually is. This can involve in inflating revenues, hiding expenses, and overstating assets. Another common method is to engage in off-balance sheet transaction or use special purpose entities to hide debt or other liabilities. So next is we go to the tone of the top meaning in general and the tone of the top for Lehman Brothers. First, the tone of the top refers to the ethical culture and leadership of an organization, and it can have a significant impact on the behavior of the employees and the overall success of a company. So in this slide, we will take a look at the tone of the top of Lehman Brothers and how it contributed to the firm's collapse. First is aggressive growth and profit maximization. The company's senior executives were focused on maximizing profits and driving aggressive growth, often at the expense of long-term stability and risk management. So the emphasis of short-term gains incentivize employees to take an excessive risk and engage in questionable accounting practices in order to achieve their goals. Second is competitive. So Lehman Brothers had a highly competitive and cutthroat culture with employees against each other in pursuit of individual performance and compensation. This culture contributed to a lack of collaboration and a focus on individual achievement rather than collective success. Third is emphasis on high-risk investment. So the company had a strong focus on high-risk investment, particularly in the mortgage market. Lehman Brothers was a major player in the subprime mortgage market, where it packaged and sold large quantities of high-risk loan to investors. So the focus on high-risk investment contributed to the company downfall when the housing market collapsed in 2008. So lastly is lack of regulatory oversight. So this company operated in a large unregulated environment with little oversight of government agencies or other external entities. So this lack of regulatory oversight contributed to a culture of risk-taking and a focus on short-term gains rather than long-term stability.
Hi, my name is Fitri Amshah bin Faizanisa, and I will continue with the second part, which is how the fraud was perpetrated and concealed. Okay, the first one, as you're aware, the Lehman Brothers company is a sizable organization with consideration clout in the global business community. But why do fraud incidents happen in this business? Let's take a look closer at this deception. First, what is Repo 105's relationship with Lehman Brothers? Which is the repurchase agreement. Repo agreements have traditionally been used by businesses to manage their short-term liquidity needs. But in this case of Lehman Brothers, this transaction took on an anticipated twist that was meant to make Lehman Brothers Lehman's balance sheet look healthier than it actually was. In a classic repurchase transaction, a counterparty obtains highly liquid asset in exchange of cash for an investment banking organization. These are simply financial agreements that are classified as secure loans. As a result, if the financial institution fails to repay the loan, the lender sells the asset to recoup its investment. To reclaim the securities, the corporation cash is frequently returned at a later date, along with a later amount of interest, which is around 2%. Furthermore, these transactions are frequently categorized in the financial accounts as financing agreements. In addition, in order to maintain its good name, Lehman signed into this conventional arrangement, but instead of following a regular processes, Lehman engaged in creative but dishonest accounting tactic known as Repo 105, which is what Repo 105 is essentially an extreme and dishonest accounting of balance sheet instrument that was used to physically remove securities and trouble liability of Lehman's balance sheet while presenting quarterly financial results to the public. These transactions were documented as sales rather than loans. Intercompany transactions through a London affiliate and bond acquisition through a special financial unit were among the methods. First, in the US, which is the United States, Lehman Brothers utilized its Lehman Brothers Special Financing Branch to acquire a government bond for another bank. Second, shortly before the end of the quarter, the US unit transferred the bonds to a Lehman Brothers international subsidiary in London. Third, the London affiliate committed to buy back the asset at a higher price at the start of the next quarter after transferring the asset to its counterparty and collecting cash. In essence, the transfer asset accounted for at least 105% of the cash received. Fourth, the cash received were used to satisfy a major percentage of Lehman liabilities. Furthermore, by lowering assets and liability, quarterly financial statement as well as the associated leverage and the other risk ratio seems to be a better form. This advantageous ratio was subsequently made available to the general public, investors, and regulators. 6. Armed with this positive financial figure, Lehman went to the bank and the other lending institutions to obtain loans at the start of the quarter. Finally, Lehman Brothers Holdings will repurchase the securities from its London affiliate a few days later for 105% of the assets value. Lehman debts and assets will climb in tandem, as would the company's leverage, and its balance sheet would finally revert to its true inferior position after subtracting the 5% interest paid. Then, toward the end of the quarter, this transaction will normally last a week to 10 days, significantly distorted the firm's financial status. Lehman would exchange their assets for a short-term cash loan from its counterpart under this accounting technique. Lehman would subsequently record this transaction as a sale, despite the reality that it was just secured as a loan arrangement. Because this was just a loan of capital, Lehman have kept the asset on its books. However, rather than following regular accounting processes, they erased the problematic assets from their record and represented the transaction as a sale. This alleged sales generated funds that were used to satisfy debts. As a consequence, at the conclusion of the fiscal year quarter, Lehman would show a balance sheet with a few unsaved assets, less debt, and maybe more cash. From the outside, Lehman appeared to be less leveraged and in good health. As a result, the financial statements seemed to be in good shape, as did the company's strong fiscal leverage and other risk ratio. According to the bankruptcy examiner, Lehman had a temporary net leverage ratio of 15.4%, which would have been 17.3% if he had not used the repo 105. Okay, next is B, who is the whistleblower. In this situation, the whistleblower is Matthew Lu, who was working as an accounting specialist on the commercial organization in 2007 when he saw some horrific number crashing and raised the alarm. He was momentarily fired, and he believes he has been blacklisted on the Wall Street since then. Matthew Lu, a former Lehman Brothers government who investigated the company's improper accounting practice, was said and remained unemployed, and his reasons were pondered with the assistance of Andrew Ross Sorkin, a New York Times mega superstar, author, and disaster chronicler. Matthew Lu, a senior inside the finance division, made 6 accounting accusations in a report delivered to the Lehman's top management on May 16, 2008, and encouraged Ernst & Young to investigate. In a discussion with Ernst & Young Associates, Matthew Lu revealed some unknown facts concerning on repo 105 transaction, which artificially boosted Lehman's stability sheet by utilizing $550 billion. Matthew Lu, which 56, has emerged as a key figure in the collapse of Lehman Brothers, as well as the activity of the Ernst & Young accounting firm. When re-examined by court-appointed examiner, there was a contradiction in E and Y's testimony, indicating that the auditing firm had compromised expert standards. Lee alleged that Lehman's monthly economic declaration executed property by $5 billion, and the financial business did not price its economic product stock in an absolutely sensible or reasonable manner. Lee, a Lehman Brothers veteran who handled the financial institution global balance sheet consolidation initiative, delivered a letter to top management in May 2008. So it brought up some serious concern about the accounting method that Lee identified as concealing Lehman's underlying accidental exposure. Additionally, the explosive email charge on the Lehman CFO Erin Collins and Chief Trade Officer Christopher O'Meara of making false statements to the public and to the regulatory bodies. And according to the Matthew Lee, the business immediately transferred $50 billion, which is about 150% in the US, in asset of its balance sheet, reportedly to offset the employer enormous risk. He is charged of the global balance sheet and the accounting for the criminal businesses. Matthew Lee was laid off during Lehman round of layoff in June 2008 as the brand struggled to cut their expenses in the face of financial crisis and waning customer confidence. In the months leading up to the banking institution filing for financial bankruptcy in September 2008, almost 8,000 employees were laid off. 387 Lehman Brothers employees are still working for the company shell under the liquidators authority. Last one, Lamco will be looking for a new business dealing with the property of other bankruptcy enterprise rather than only closing down the Lehman portfolio of asset and personal equity holding.
Okay, so next is pressure, opportunities, and rationalization. First is pressure on Lehman Brothers. First is intense competition. The investment banking industry is highly competitive, and Lehman Brothers was not exception. The company faced pressure from the other bank to remain at the forefront of the industry, which often meant taking on more risk and pushing more aggressive growth strategies. Second is short-term focus. Lehman Brothers had a short-term focus, with executives and employees often focused on achieving immediate gains rather than considering the long-term consequences of their action. The short-term focus was reinforced by the company's compensation structure, which rewarded employees for achieving short-term performance targets. So last is lack of transparency. There were concerns about the lack of transparency with Lehman Brothers, particularly with regards to its accounting practices. This lack of transparency made it difficult for investors and regulators to understand the true risks associated with the company investment and financial position. So we go to the opportunities. First is strong presence in investment banking. Lehman Brothers were a major player in the investment banking industry, with a strong reputation for innovation and expertise in complex financial products. The company had the opportunity to continue to build on its success in this area and expand its reach into new market and region. Next is growing global market. In the year leading to the financial crisis, global markets were experiencing significant growth and expansion. Lehman Brothers had the opportunity to capitalize on this growth and expand its reach into new region, including emerging market Asia and South America. Third is innovation in financial product. Lehman Brothers was known for its innovative approach to financial product and had the opportunity to continue to develop new and innovative product that could generate significant profit for the company. So lastly is for rationalization. So first is cost cutting measures. In an effort to reduce expenses and improve profitability, Lehman Brothers implemented a number of cost-cutting measures. This included layoff and reduction in compensation for employees at all levels of organization. Consolidation of operation. So Lehman Brothers also sought to streamline in operation by consolidating business units and reducing redundant. So this allowed the company to operate more efficiently and effectively, while also reducing costs. So lastly is simplification of product and services. In an effort to reduce complexity and focus on core competencies, Lehman Brothers also simplified its product and service offering. This allowed the company to better leverage its expertise in key areas, while also reducing costs associated with managing a wide range of products and services.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Helmi. I will continue with the consequences or effects or penalty imposed for the Lehman Brothers. For the first one, it was the auditor. First, Ernst & Young, which is Lehman Brothers' independent auditors, agreed to pay $10 million to resolve a 4-year-old lawsuit launched by New York State authorities in connection with the collapse of Lehman Brothers. The deal between the big accounting firm and New York State Attorney General Eric T. Schneiderman resolved civil allegations that Ernst & Young assisted Lehman Brothers in fabricating an accounting fraud known as Repo 105 that caused the Wall Street company to appear less average than it was in the months leading up to its September 2008 bankruptcy filing. While the $10 million was less than the Attorney General Office had requested, Ernst & Young decided to pay $99 million to resolve an investor class action lawsuit, claiming that the audit company ignored Lehman Brothers' use of Repo 105 transactions. For the second consequences for the company, the Lehman Brothers going bankrupt on 15 September 2008 signified the peak of the subprime mortgage crisis and malfeasance. The Federal Reserve called 6 banks to arrange to fund the financial services firm reformation after it was informed of a likely rating downgrading because of its heavy exposure to subprime mortgage. This negotiation fell through and Lehman filed a Chapter 11 case, which remains the biggest bankruptcy filing in US history, involving over $600 billion in assets. According to March 2010 assessment by the court-appointed examiner, Lehman executives commonly utilize cosmetic accounting gimmicks at the end of each quarter to make the company's finance look less unstable than they actually were. There was a sort of buyback arrangement in which securities were temporarily withdrawn from the company's balance sheet. However, unlike usual buyback agreements, Lehman represented these transactions as an outright sale of securities, resulting in a fundamentally false picture of the company's financial health in late 2007 and 2008. For the third one, it was the management. We could even find that the fraud impact is great enough to cause the company to lose employees. For instance, if employees are worried about their reputation in working with the company, they may believe that leaving is the most beneficial option for their career. As we can see here, the fraud that has been detected after Lehman Brothers bankruptcy in 2008 caused thousands of employees, and mostly in business suits, started to leave the company's office one by one, carrying boxes, because there was insufficient money to cover their salary to continue operating the business. Many Lehman Brothers workers are sad since they were fired off as a result of the bankruptcy and now need to find work elsewhere to support their living expenses in their country. It was a gloomy reminder that nothing lasts forever, especially in the financial and investing world. Alternatively, they may believe that they no longer have confidence or faith in the company or its mission. As a result, staff may decide to look for a job elsewhere and don't want to put more financial burden and resource on the company. For the next one is the shareholder. The shareholder will be worried since their money invested in the business is not guaranteed to be returned if the company encounters problems such as fraud, issue, or goes bankrupt. As we can see, Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy in 2008, making all of the shareholders' share worthless and stopping dividend payment unless a tiny amount of their investment is redeemed through the sale of any company assets. The shares may be blacklisted from the main stock markets, and a symbol may be added to signify that the company has filed for bankruptcy. It is likely that the shares will regain value when the company returns from bankruptcy. Alternatively, as part of the debt reorganization, The company may cancel existing shares and issue new ones, having left little or nothing to the previous owners. However, Lehman Brothers shareholders will receive their money back from Ernst & Young as a result of the lawsuit. For the last consequences, it was the customer. Repeat consumers will be lost, since fraud and bankrupt may be horrible experience for customers with long-term implications for their mental health and lifestyle. After Lehman Brothers bankrupt, most clients of each broker-dealer were affected. One factor is that the client assets and Lehman owns assets were legally separated. Also likely, because of bankruptcy was expected, a huge number of client accounts were moved out before to Lehman Brothers dissolution. For my last part, it was the conclusion of the report and how I provide my opinion on the Lehman Brothers. For my conclusion, we can say that with a large corporation, there are ups and downs. Multiple fraud that were perpetrated in order to bring out the company's demise are to blame for the damage that was done. The performance, reputation, and other consequences of the company were primarily impacted by it. As we can see, the unintended consequences of their actions included consequences and failure for the company, the management, the customers, and the shareholders. Therefore, when it comes to business, fraud is very risky conduct, and select the ideal candidate to ensure a successful outcome for your business. That's all from me, and thank you.
The words of wisdom for this topic that we agree to conclude, which is remember to focus on what is the best for yourself in the long run, instead of what feels easy to fraud or the right in the moment, which is you have the satisfaction only that moment, which it tells like if you do fraud, that satisfaction and prizes that you achieve is only that you feel only that short period of time, but in the long run you will have trouble by doing fraud. And fraudsters' greatest ability is the certainty that fraud is too clever to be detected. Remember, stay true and be honest to yourself. That's all from us. Thank you.